Good morning, everyone. In today's video, I want to talk about how I price the items that I'm selling online for my vintage reseller store. It's one of the most frequently asked questions here on my channel. So since we are getting up early, it's just gone past 7 and I am wearing lipstick, I thought let's take you with me shopping and we can talk about some of the items I see on the way and what my thoughts are in terms of why I'm picking them up, why I might leave them behind, and what I would expect to sell them for. So let's get to the train station and let's get going to one of my favorite London markets. It's a little bit of a secret. It's a secret gem. I don't want to tell you about it, but it is my favorite market. So let's go. So we made it to beautiful, beautiful East London. I absolutely love this area and we need to get cash out because this is absolutely a cash only market. If you don't have it, then you're definitely not going to get stuff because, you know, normal people don't have those little beep things where you pay on your card. So let's do that and let's head to the school. We are on Kingsland Road. I cannot for the life of me remember the name of the market. I know it's so bad. If it comes to me, I will say it. But I'm on Kingsland Road and there's a school down here. And this is essentially where we're going. And there is a cash machine. So let's do it. Okay. Nope, not happening. They were out of order. Let's try another one. Hopefully. Okay, we got money and we're pretty much here. So we see the fence, the Princess May Primary School. We get in over here. You will see so many private sellers here and some of it is quite fashionable and there's some really good stuff. I love this area in here, which is essentially the basketball courtyard inside the courtyard. There's always lots of like, look at this girl here. She has so many cool things and yeah, definitely give it a browse. So I will take you back and we'll go through my pricing strategy in the studio, but I'll just give you a few thoughts here before we do that. So this guy is having so many art books, which is quite interesting. And I never really sold books before, but let's say we were starting today, then I would take any of these that I was interested in, Google Lens it, and try and understand what is he asking and what can I then flip it for. Same with this lampshade would be a really good item to just Google Lens, find something similar. You don't always find a like for like, but I feel like you can find similar items. Again, there'll be a stand of knickknacks like this one. I mean, I would never buy this. And then there will be a really, really good stand. These are a pair of real Louboutins. And if I was selling fashion, definitely something to Google Lens if you didn't know the price of. And I think that would be a really good flip actually, but not for me. I love this dude. Yeah, so let's start going to the back because the back is actually my favorite area, but I always give this a little whirl around as well. So we have this courtyard or the alleyway, and there was a guy with tools here today. That was really fun. Here we have the cafe. Absolutely love the cafe. It had such good vibes and music. Down the end here, that's where we come in, and the best sellers, in my world at least, are down the end where we got in, and I have already picked up a few pairs, which we'll go through when we get back. Here, to the left of me, this guy always has good stuff as well. He's just a regular. He has quite a few magazines and stuff today. There's also this painting up here. If I was to pick up this painting, I would guess it would be about £15 would probably be my benchmark. And then anything from 45 till 75, depending on the value and kind of, yeah, you know, what I think it would sell for. This is just a creepy lady. And to the left is more prints. I try to avoid prints, to be honest. I'm stuck with a few at the moment. So unless they're really, really good. Okay, so we're in brass land and I have found a lot that I will pick up. And generally, I say brass is a good seller. I think £3 to £5 at a max. And then you definitely make good money on it. We made it till 9 a.m. and we've gone through the market and I'm now waiting for the train home, and it always happens, you miss a train and then you're waiting around to be here for another 10 minutes, but I bought some fantastic stuff. So we have a lot of things that we go through once we get back home, but I just want to show you, you got a lot of attention on the market, is the blue cat. So why did I pick up the blue cat? Well, he has a really good size. He was only £20. I'm guessing I want at least 78 is a figure that pops to mind for this one. It's a paper mache. It's really, really old and retro. And it's a good piece because some people obsess about cats, so that's a thing. It has a fantastic color, so in photography it will pop. And the size is good. It has some wear and tear, and it just all adds to the charm. So that is the first item. I found some other really, really good things. And let's get home. And as you know, I always lock it before I take my shoes off. So we will lock some items into the Excel spreadsheet so we don't forget what we paid for it. And then I might even go as far as photographing and uploading a couple of pieces. So yeah, lots to do today. All right, we made it home and I've taken all of the stuff to the studio. I'll take it out one thing at a time and then we can talk about it. And do remember the very important point about do not take your shoes off because we need to lock it. So for that, I'm going to need to get upstairs. It's near the bed in the bedroom. I do have my laptop. Judge me now. So I'm going to go and get the laptop and then we'll quickly lock it. I did think we were going to go straight into photographing, measuring, and just do all of it in one round. But I have 4 parcels I need to get to the post office. One of them it has to go out today essentially, and it's really big. So I might even have to go twice unless I can convince Ben to go with me. Yeah, I need to check how I'm going to go about it, but I need to pack. So we will do this, we'll lock, and then I think we should go up and pack and maybe reflect on my core strategy. But I'll show you these things and I'll give you initial thoughts on what I think I might be listing them for, what I paid, and just get you a little bit of like insights into how my brain works. And by no means there are many ways of going about this process. I think everybody have their way and I'm still new and learning, but yeah, I do have some thoughts on it, so let's go through that. All right, let's do the speedy version of let's photograph things with our mobile phone. And I do it super fast, so I take everything out of my bags and stuff, and we'll just quickly talk about each item, and then I'll take a quick snapshot of a photo, and then I'll just give you my initial thoughts on what I think it will sell for, but I haven't done any research, so it might be completely off. But if we start with the very beautiful Mr. Cat, we all know I love him by now. And also, he was kind of peeking out of the tote bag when I was walking around the Carboot, and people were, oh, he's a good one. So I paid 20. If I say I want 78, I think that's a good number. I like to not get it clicked up to the 8, so 80 essentially, but 78, he's such a good size, isn't he? So what we do is snap, oh, snap, that's the photo, that's one done. And then I bought this one from a lady. That was one of the first items I bought. I paid £4 for this one. Let's just snap it. And I've seen that go online for about 20. It is a Blue Mountain pottery made in Canada. So it's a thing. Then I have the brass lady. Now the brass lady gave me this mouse, the crane. She also gave me the nutcracker. Oh, frankly, she didn't give it to me. I paid for it. The nutcracker. And this one is actually what I bought. Why I bought it. This fox. So it's a letter opener. Now, so we have these 4 things. And she did what any thrifter hates. I came up and she was spending time with another guy selling this big D thing that he could put on the wall. It was cool enough. And then took forever waiting there, and fine, I'm always happy to wait, like no rush. And then she said, okay, so, and I said, okay, I've done this pile of brass and a nutcracker. What do you want for it? And she was like, looked at me, she's like, what do you want to pay? Honestly, that is the worst question you can ask a thrifter. I'm like, I don't want to pay anything. I practically want it for free, but now you're putting me in a situation where I have to stand there, buy item and calculate, can I make money? And it took me, I think I was there for 5 minutes. I ended up paying 25 for all of it. I ideally would have paid 20, but then you get into the thing of I don't want to offend her. Anyways, the brass crane, I'm thinking we can get something like £26, let's say that. And this nutcracker, it is the season for nutcrackers, so good pickup. I'm hoping I will get 28, 30 pounds. This one, Foxy Boy, I wouldn't be surprised if it goes for 45 or something like that. I need to do my research, but it was the entire reason why I bought this lot. And then we have the mouse. And I'm not gonna lie, I hate these animals. I think he is he's going to be bad karma. I know the brass animal sells really well, but I also believe in bad karma. So I think I picked up bad karma in this one. It had a sticker on saying £10 that she just took off. So she started out by saying, oh, this one, I just took a sticker off that says £10. I was like, I'm never going to pay £10. Anyways, I'm happy if I get 20, I think. So let's quickly look how quick this goes. 1, 2, 3, 4. It is literally just as quick as that. That's all you need. Like, we don't need a big fancy photo. It's just a reference in the spreadsheet so I know what the heck I'm talking about when I'm looking at 400 items. Right, so that was that. We take that to the side and we now know that that needs to be photographed. Then the guy who bought me the blue cat, I also bought this apple from. I think I paid a little too much, to be honest. I paid £5, but I'm guessing it will go for 22, 24 maybe. So the photo, blink. And then we have, right. And then, oh yeah, this one, this is an item I have not picked up, but I have it because I bought quite a few items, which I will show you in a second, from a lady. She's like, oh, you can have this one for free as well. I'm lucky I have a niece, and I'm sure Mr. Super Happy will go to my niece and I will give it a little wash and she'll be like, yeah, that's really cute, because she's a year and a half. So I guess that's for her. That'll be fine. What have we not talked about? We have not talked about this one. So this is the lady that had the weird giraffe toy. And this is actually quite a fun old, what you call it, plant pot. So it has this for the plant. It's quite dirty, so I will give it a rinse. It is, and I find this really funny, called Habitat Jardin de France. Excuse my French accent, but it is made in Ireland for Habitat. So who knows? It's Irish, but French, but Irish. I paid £3 for it, and I'm hoping I'll get £35 or something. Let's just take a quick photo. That's my thought process, at least. Then the same lovely lady had this one, and wicker baskets, everything baskets. This one's pretty good shape, really old, and I love the handles. Yeah, so I paid £4. I thought that was so good. So that with the little thing in the free giraffe, and hey ho, there we go. Take a photo. And we have a couple of more items, right? So we have this lady I bought from the same guy that had the blue cat. So I paid £15 for her. Let's take a quick photo. And sculptures like that are just incredible. I don't know what you think, but I think she's worth a heck of a lot more than £15. So maybe I'll sell her for something like 65. I'm thinking. I think she's very, very, very cool and a great Christmas present. So yeah, or just for yourself if you can't emotionally let go. Right, the last one that we need to do is these two do's. The first ones I picked up. Are they sheeps? Are they a llama? I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you think, sheep or llama. I like, he has a little tail, look at him. So good. And look at his wobbly eyes. I paid £4 for the two. So I will sell them together because I feel like they are definitely made to be together. So yeah, now that's done, let's quickly lock it in the laptop spreadsheet. So I will just dump all of it onto the laptop and then we'll get going. Oh yeah, we talked about the price, actually the important part here. So I paid, as I said, £4. Oh no, he's lost an ear. Oh, okay. I will have to double check and see if I can find his ear. Oh, holy moly. Oh no. Where did his ear go? No. Okay. Oh no. Okay. Maybe I've shot myself in the foot here. He has... Oh no, he's earless. Oh. Okay. This just happens, doesn't it? We've all done it. Okay, I paid £4 without an ear, but with his body. If I get £15 at this rate, oh, I thought he was gonna be like a 35 kind of pair or more, but now I just want to get rid. Ugh. Look. Okay, right. Anyways, he's gonna be locked, and I don't know, is this broken as well? Was he meant to have horns? Do you know what? These two might come to when I do a booth. I'm planning on doing a booth in March, or not a booth, like a market. I want to go to a market in East London and sell. So it'll probably be Stratford. I will announce it when I do. So if you are in London, you should totally come, and maybe you can get an earless sheep slash llama. I'll probably bring it there, and someone will love it, and it's all good. Okay, so let's get on to the last thing, which I'm so excited about. I haven't shown you this yet. The last thing is this box. Do you know what's in this box? It is a French antique, take you here, French antique painter's box. And I have seen, wait, let's see if we put it out there. There we go. I have seen these go for a lot online, and I've seen them about. I've never picked them up, but every time I think, oh, they're so gorgeous, you should pick it up. Yesy, pick me up. So now I have picked up this one, and I've seen these on their own go just for about 65, but this comes with a hole. I mean, look at that. I've seen the boxes go for over 100, so I'm thinking, oh my god, look at this. I didn't even realize. Look, guys, look at that. Oh, I love it. Okay, so I think altogether this is gonna go close to 200. Let's just say 180, and then I am generous because this is a gem. So we're gonna take a photo. That's it. So with that, let's airdrop it to the laptop, and let's move on because we need to get to the post office. So ended up sitting on the floor, as you can see, in my studio, finding some things and just doing, some of the work that you have to do when you're a vintage reseller. And I thought, you know what, let's just crack on and get this video done for you guys. So here we are on the floor, very beautiful. And I will give you my thoughts end to end in terms of pricing strategy. Before we dive in though, I would absolutely appreciate that if you're into this kind of content, if you're into vintage styling, thrifting, interior design, if you could like this video and subscribe to my channel, then you won't miss the upcoming videos. Now back to the content. Right, so I've done some bullet points to make sure we cover everything off. And the first thing I wanted to say is I've been running this vintage resale business for only about 4 months. And when I started, I was watching lots of videos like this one. So big shout out to all of the content creators out there to really understand what are they selling and what are their price points. Now, one thing to bear in mind is that some of these sellers are US based, some of them are UK based, some of them is in Canada. They are around the world, and the customer base might be a little bit different. So sometimes you take things with a grain of salt and you just, you do your own judgment call on it, but also realize, what do I like selling, right? So I started buying things and just experimenting. I go on people's Etsy's, I go on their vintage. I am that one that will stalk my competitor to really understand what are they listing and what are they listing it for. So that's kind of step number one that gave me a lens to go out and source with. And now that I have been sourcing for quite a while, I've talked about my master Excel spreadsheets many times before. I log everything and I log it into categories. So I have brass, I have cottagecore, I have kitchen items, I have art, I have needle point, I have all of these different items, and I can see what things have sold for, and I can also see how long I've had it listed for, because I think all of this is really important data to indicate how quickly can you flip it and what should you price it at. And then I'm really just experimenting, right? So I study other resellers, and then once I have an item take this beautiful cup, which is next to me. I will Google Lens it. So take a photo, put it into Google, and just see, are there something similar, maybe even the same item listed on Etsy or eBay? And you will then also, when you do this, start seeing that they have different price points, which brings me to the next point, which is I have different price points depending on the platform. So if we start with Etsy, which is where my main focus are at the moment, I'm getting better at eBay, I'm getting better at Facebook Marketplace and Vinted, but Etsy is where it all started. So I will list it for a much higher price there because people are used to paying a premium. That's one factor. But the other factor is that Etsy is just the most expensive platform in terms of fees. So yeah, you gotta make sure you're covered. On Etsy specifically, I offer free shipping, so that's a bit of an experiment. I know there's different opinions on that, but I do think people are very used to the Amazon model of we want transparency of what we're paying. So yeah, so that's that really. So free shipping on that one. They have recently introduced price differentiated like what do you call that, like costs. So depending on where I'm selling, so if I do worldwide, US or UK, I essentially just have a flat fee of £30 that I add to anything that's going out of the UK. And I don't care about customs at this point. That might change because then I know that I am covered. And sometimes it means that this mug would probably be way too expensive, but I get surprised sometimes about who buys things from around the world, and that's just fantastic. So how do I evaluate what this cup should cost? Well, I Google Lens it and I look at my competitors and I say, okay, so if they're selling it for this and I know what I paid, then let's say I paid £3 for this mug. I think I have a whole set there of 3 mugs and 3 plates, which I think I paid something like £10 for. Well, ideally I'd like to times by 3. That would be a good start. But I do need to consider depending on, right? So that would be 30 quid. I still have to have packaging and yeah, source locally, but sometimes you still have to buy. I literally just bought stuff from Etsy that came in or eBay that came in the door in terms of filler paper because I was just out of it. So, that's money out the door. So I need to make sure all of that is covered. So times 3 is probably a good benchmark. Now, because I'm a new seller, I do think I just want to flip it, right? And get money in the business, which I can then reinvest. That's a really big deal for me. I want to build up traffic onto my channels because people see things and they're within range. Now, I do know, and there's a philosophy to this, that sometimes we need to make sure we're also not underpricing ourselves, not because that we risk not making money from it, because if you do it with sanity, you can still make money off it. But if you sell cheap, you get cheap, right? People associate cheap with cheap. So sometimes actually saying, well, I have really good items and I know I have fantastic items, then selling it a little bit higher as a price point, actually from a psychological perspective, is something that works well. So I know some sellers have the strategy of before they reduce, they raise their price. So that is a territory that I'm getting into experimenting with, actually raising a price before I knock it down. So, but overall, for now, Etsy is where I have the highest price. Then I have eBay and Vinted and Facebook Marketplace. They're all having about the same price point. So I listed with that. And then for Facebook, I know people will typically pick it up. And then on eBay and Vinted, there's postage on top, right? Or I just work it out. And sometimes, I can run an offer or whatever, and that's fine. But I will still make a profit, and I'm considering all of my expenses. Now, between now and now it's middle of November and March, I just want to raise the amount of COGS. So that's the amount of inventory value that I have in my business. So the more things I have to sell, the more profit I can make, right? So I am keen on just spending my effort flipping and getting profit in, even though it's a bit lower. Once it comes March and I am hopefully having a bit more of what you call it, like frequent sales, I am probably going to knock up my prices because I'd rather sit on my items for a little bit longer and make a better fee. So that's going to be my experiment from March, but that's because I have targets in terms of how much I'm turning over in my business. I will also at that point know what to buy and what not to buy. And in March, I'm going to go to a vintage fair here in East London. I am about to apply for it, so I will let you know how all of that go. But essentially, that's where I will get rid of some of the things that haven't sold, so I can reinvest that money into my business with items that I have learned sells really well and fast. I had a question or a comment from one of you guys in my last video, which I found really interesting. There's actually a couple of people that said, "Oh, we think you're selling too cheap." And that is such an interesting observation, because do you want things to just lie around? Because that's dead value, right? One person said, I sometimes have my stuff lying around for 7 years, but my philosophy are, yeah, but I could have flipped that value, that item so many times into much more value over 7 years. So I just don't think it's worth it. I do, however, also not believe in, and I know people and I love them and I value their work, but I know that they've gone to market by completely underpricing, not completely underpricing, but really being low at the lower end of the scale. And I don't know. If it works, it works, and that's fine, and that is a strategy. But I think you're also ending up putting a lot of effort into for very little gain. But they have definitely gotten a massive following now on their sales channels, which is fantastic. And then that's been an upfront investment. For me, it's a balance. But I'm not the most expensive, and I'm not the cheapest. Right. So I do my research. I study other vintage sellers. I would also say it's okay to copy with elegance, because we're all selling different items at the end of the day. I track every single sale, like every single sale. Everything is locked, because that's the only way you can learn. So I really recommend that if you're not tracking and are really systematic, do it, because like proof is in the pudding, and you want the data on what you're selling for, how much and when, how long was it there for, what are the category. And within that, I can now see that I am definitely becoming a bit of a cottage core. So anything rustique, having this, you know, cottage Victorian vibe. And it's so funny enough, I believe that you sell what you really like, because I think it shines through, and that is just my vibe. So yeah, but track it, because I've also had lessons for things that I am absolutely not buying again. I sold a pewter, one of these beer mugs recently, and it I had it for like 6 months, I think. So for the very little gain, I don't think it's worth picking that up again. And I'm having other things which is just stuck, and I don't know. I need to figure what I do. So overall, my pricing strategy is very heavily reliant on data and intuition and research. So my recommendation to you, if you are starting out, is log every single item, research your competitors, ask yourself, if I was the buyer, I think we don't do this enough. Flip the coin and say, if I was buying this item, if I was buying this mug on eBay, what would I pay for it? Be really critical, because it's so easy to fall in love with your own items and have that emotional attachment. We all been there. What would you pay if you bought it? And then I've also spoken, I think I've spoken about this before, but there are what I call the rude bid, which I will accept. So sometimes people will bid for your item, and it might be really low, but actually, yeah, you thought you might get more, but it's a sale here and now that will recoup £15 or £10, and you can reinvest that into the business. You're going to the post office anyways. Like, I mean, why not just bring it, right? So that's that. And then remember all of your hidden costs in the process. So that is the bus ticket to go to the post office. It is the extra tape you ran out of that you quickly have to pick up across the road. That is another few quid gone. And it is a game of margins. So you really have to be lean and mindful and log everything. You know, the coffee you pick up at the market, the fee you paid for the entrance, all of it needs to go into that total cost. In short, to me, it's not about always pushing the highest price, but it is finding that balance of a fee which moves your items, but also gives you a reasonable profit in your business. I hope you found this helpful. Do not forget to like and subscribe. And if you like the thrift part of this video, you should continue on to this video where I take you to one of my favorite London flea markets. Till then, I will see you soon.